Good afternoon. This is Media Center, Ukraine, Odesa, and we continue with the briefing dedicated to the Regional Office for International Cooperation. Our speaker is Deputy Head of Odesa Regional Military Administration, Hryhoryshyn. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. Let's start with the Regional Office for International Cooperation, its main tasks and objectives. Good afternoon, Evgeny. And today, following the order of the head of Odesa Regional Military Administration, I will tell you about the Regional Office for International Cooperation and its results. Following the initiative of the President of Ukraine, such offices have been established in all regions of Ukraine. We all understand the importance of the international cooperation for every region and regional administration. And it is important for the Odesa region because over the last year and a half, we have seen the focus of international partners and international diplomats to our city and region, and the Secretary General of the UN has visited our city, and that's why for us this office is even more important than for other regions. This office is the new platform for communication coordination of international partnerships to find new partners and new regions for partnership of our region. This platform, on one hand, accumulates all needs of the territorial communities and the residents of our city and the region of IDPs and vulnerable population, the critical infrastructure facilities. This office accumulates all needs under the umbrella of the Regional Military Administration and basing on the information developed strategy and communication with the international donors, the regional partners of the Odesa region, finds partners in sister cities or sister communities. And this is how the work is structured. Following the order of the head of the Regional Military Administration, the office was opened in June this year. And I would like to share some results with you. What have you achieved over the last several months? We have developed the promotion presentation of the Odesa region, providing information about investments, projects, needs, and prospects for the development of Odesa region. And with the Bremen Chamber of Commerce, we have agreed initiative to organize business mission to our region this autumn for German companies to learn more about the Odesa region. When we were visiting Bremen, several German companies expressed their willingness to conduct basic research to open their branches and offices after the victory. In July, we organized a range of online training sessions for the regional communities with the support of Poland. And also the government of Bremen allocated more than 17,000 euros for the development of Odesa region. And this is the basic package for the recovery of the Odesa region. 718,000 euros will be provided gradually to recover educational institutions destroyed in Odesa region because of the missile attacks. This month, we are going to sign a trilateral agreement between the local government of Bremen and our regional military administration. Together with Global Empowerment Mission, together with Howard Buffett Foundation, we have assessed damaged windows, and since 20th July this year, around 1,500 windows have been installed in the damaged buildings as a result of the attacks of the Russian Federation. And the whole package agreed with GEM and Howard Buffett Foundation is more than 5,000 windows. Odesa collectives will participate in the events dedicated to Holodomor of Ukraine in different countries of Ukraine. In June, August, more than 20 international events were organized, including meetings with the ambassadors of such countries as Pakistan, Italy, etc., and the deputies of the parliament from Austria and Germany. By the end of the year, we are going to increase the number of partners, and we have been finalizing the agreement with the Valencia region in Spain and also the region in Horvatia. And we communicate with the Florida state and the state New Jersey, the United States. I believe that at this basic stage, our regional office is rather successful. Of course, there is no threshold, and we understand that at the moment it is very important to get support from different regions, to get new partners. And I've told numerous times in these premises that we need to be focused on the West in our development, because Ukraine is being integrated into the European Union, and Odesa region is no exception. For the last year and a half, we have signed agreements with Bremen from Germany and Provence region in France. Both the regional office and the regional military administration, the international department, have been doing everything possible to widen possibilities for our region. To explain even deeper the necessity of our activities, I would like to make an example that was during blackout last year. We knew that the energy infrastructure facilities were heavily damaged, especially in Odesa region. And sometimes the residents of the city and the region did not have power supplies even up to 72 hours. And in such a critical situation, it is very important to find alternative solutions. And the temporary alternative solution is mobile facilities to generate power. These are different sizes of generators. And thanks to the efforts of the regional military administration, we have received from donors and partners more than 1,000 generators. And that was enough to supply power to most critical infrastructure facilities, including hospitals and other healthcare institutions. And comparing to other regions, our administration did not use budget funds to buy generators. That was done through our cooperation with different partners, including international partners. And in such situations, we especially can feel the result of this work. And now we are getting ready to the winter, to winterization, and we continue our work to get alternative power supply sources. The more partners we have, the better prepared we will be. And these generators, have they been supplied permanently, or should we return them? I don't want to be mistaken, but the documents that I signed provided the provision of this generator free of charge. That was a lot has been supplied from Poland, UN. From the Arabian world, we received around 300 generators. Are these generators of high capacity, 1.2 megawatts. The price of for such generators is 100 to 200,000 hryvnias. But most generators are of the capacity that is enough for the basic supply, 520 kilowatts. They are not that expensive, like not $10,000 of US dollars, but remember last year that even the simplest generators, 3 or 5 kilowatts, were very expensive because of the demand in the market. But we were able to succeed without spending our budget, and we're proud of that. One more question. Do you discuss the physical protection of these critical infrastructure facilities, and is this process supported by our international partners? When it comes to the protection, this is our internal activities. Last year and now the regional military administration has been working on protection structures to protect our critical infrastructure facilities, and as far as I understand, the international partners are not involved in these activities. Of course, this is our own task, and there is also the security issue, and we understand that the information could not be disclosed. I'd like to add that by the end of this year, we are going to have the next forum for the recovery of Ukraine, organized by the regional military administration with the support of the USAID project Hryhoryshyn. This is the first forum we are going to have, and this time it will be focused on the territorial development and special planning. This time, we are focused on inviting as many partners as possible. And we are also getting ready to the final forum in this series in November, December, where we are going to present the preliminary plan for recovery of the Odesa region that is being prepared by the team of around 25 experts. These are 4 donors that are willing to support us in this project. And we will be one of the first regions in Ukraine that we will have the recovery plan with international expertise. And after that, we will be able to get not only critical projects, the emergency response projects, but we will also be able to develop the recovery projects for our infrastructure, including for the energy infrastructure facilities, which are very expensive projects, and we will not be able to cover them by ourselves. The question about tourism. Are you going to recover tourism, or is it too early to discuss it? And at least this summer recreation season has been opened in Odesa, and by the end of this summer, we saw a lot of tourists in Odesa. Do you have any plans for the next summer? I think it is very difficult to talk about the next summer right now. And of course, in the regional military administration, we are going to cooperate with all stakeholders to take into consideration the security aspect, and also to expand the amount of beaches that will be ready to the recreation season. This summer we had only 6 beaches, but we are going to increase the number of safe places. But everything will depend on the security situation. Of course, we are going to prepare to the next summer. And if you remember, at the end of May this year, we were preparing to opening recreation season, but then shelling started, and of course we could not open in more beaches, and the tourism team in the Odesa military regional administration was more focused on developing a map of safe locations, not near the sea. And we promoted those places. And here we worked together with the owners and managers of those places or venues in the region. And of course, it was seen that after the order of the head of the Odesa military administration, together with the military, about opening of the so-called recreation season, the amount of people coming to Odessa increased, and of course that was beneficial for our city as well as for the region. And could you just share details about tourist fee? I'm not ready to answer the question at the moment, and we still have the Indian summer, and we hope that the warm weather will be preserved for the upcoming months, and we will be able to summarize it in October. And there was not like full recreation season, summer season. What are the losses for the administration? It is difficult to say now because there are direct losses because we could not collect the fee, but there are also indirect losses because some amount of people did not come to Odessa. They did not book rooms in hotels. The hotels were closed. They were not able to pay salary, and if those people who did not get salary, they could not pay local taxes, and it is very difficult to calculate these indicators, these numbers, and there were different numbers, and perhaps it's like hundreds million dollars. That was for the last year, yes, but I think that this year the number will be almost the same. There are a lot of indirect elements, which is really difficult to calculate. And we understand that a lot of enterprises and companies are almost bankrupt. And some of the companies have been relocated. Some recreational facilities are out of operation. Some venues were provided for IDPs. So, and the structure of tourism in the region has been destroyed, so to say, especially in the region, because the city managed to continue its activities because in the city we have not like international tourists, but other foreign citizens like journalists, diplomats, or the participants of different events. And that's why big hotels were able to continue their activities. It was the most damaged was felt by small venues, small recreation houses in Zatoka, Karolina Bugas, and the whole coast of the region. Kobleva, it's not Odessa, but this recreation area is out of operation. The losses, the biggest losses are in the region, and the task of our administration and the mentioned expert group working on recovery is to develop the roadmap for quick restoration of tourism. As for Zatoka, Zatoka is under constant shelling. A lot of facilities are damaged there, including hotels. Do you plan to restore them? Do you plan some future for Zatoka? In Zatoka, there are local authorities, and we are waiting proposals from them and their vision. We need to see the bigger image. Zatoka is now in a dangerous zone because shelling continues. That's why we cannot tell anything about physical recovery or restoration, but we can develop a plan. Once I mentioned that Zatoka is a very promising area, and we can develop a really cool resort there. But people say that it could resembles more like Shanghai. And now perhaps this is a chance for local communities, for us as the military administration, to strategically rebuild their territory and to invite big operators there to develop some system for the business not to be not to be as chaotic as it is now, and for it to be more structured and safe. Before the full-scale invasion, there was the project, I don't remember the name, it was called Dunaya. And the project envisaged a modern recreation area, resort there, similar as in Egypt. Yes, we had that project, and we also discussed a range of similar projects. The coastline of Odesa region is really interesting, and it is interesting for investors from the Arabian world, because in summer in the Arabic countries it is really very hot. And they are interested in just having another resort area in a more moderate temperature. And that was a good business case. And this is really profitable for us because it is difficult for us to develop the resort of the international level. It's very difficult. That's why we selected even an area, a land plot in Belgorod-Dnestrovsky district, and the state enterprise was established to conclude agreements with the relevant investors and also to define the borders of this land. But the full-scale invasion stopped that project as well as many others. As for the Regional Office for International Cooperation, what are the key regional challenges that we need donor funds to cope with? We respond to the current situation. This is the preparation to the heating season, and also the clearing up the debris from attacks, and also the dealing with the consequences of attacks. But when it comes to more strategic vision, then we should support the educational institutions that could not open because they don't have shelters. So we need funds to build shelters for children to be able to continue their studies offline in such difficult times. Because first there was COVID, then the full-scale invasion, and we can lose the whole generation of children because there is the danger that they will not be able to get full education and knowledge. Are there many educational institutions in the Odesa region without shelter? Around 20% of educational institutions could not open because of the lack of shelters. Mainly, yes. Sometimes there were the decision of parents' committees or commissions. They were against continuing offline education. And why nothing was done during summer? We cannot say that nothing was done, but 20% is rather a big number. It is not a simple task to build such shelters, but you can see what happens in mass media when you try to allocate money, or some territorial community tries to allocate funds for shelters, and the society starts discussions. What is our priority, to have shelters in home front or to buy drones and means of protection for our military at the front line? I think that shelters for school should be one of the priority. and I have not seen any criticism from the society with regard to shelters. I don't remember the community, but yesterday in the Telegram channels, I saw some hate speech because the territorial community allocated funds for school shelter. I think that our society should learn how to find balance or compromises. Sometimes we see money laundering or irrational use of money, and we should discuss it. And this is why we are different from our enemy. We can discuss everything in the society. We can criticize our authorities, and they usually respond to such criticism. But we need to find compromise in our society. And I fully agree with you that school shelters are one of the biggest priorities. Thank you, Mr. Hryhoryshyn, for joining us today. That was Roman Hryhoryshyn, Deputy Head of Odesa Regional Military Administration. And we'll see you at 1 p.m. Stay tuned.